Welcome to Twin City Talk. Today we are talking to Amber and Miguel Martinez, who own the cookie shop in the mall. Welcome.
Hi, thank you for having us.
How long have you guys owned the place?
I've had it since 2018. She joined me later on at 2022.
Something like
when
that.
we got together.
So it's one of the last few original stores there, right?
I think it is the last
It is the
original.
last one?
Yeah.
I didn't know if Belk was it original.
Oh, we're counting Belk, yeah.
Yeah, we're Jersey Pennies, I believe so as well.
How did you end up owning that place? Like, how did that happen?
I actually used to work there.
Okay.
I used to work there when I turned 18, back in 2012. I was working right next door to them at Godiva before it became Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory. And a coworker of mine, asked me if, I was looking for a part-time job. And I was like, sure. And she took me there, and I've been there ever since then.
Oh, so you must love it.
Yeah.
What are you guys' favorite cookies there?
Oh, mine has to be salted caramel crunch for sure.
Oh, the s'mores.
No hesitation.
Yeah, I love white chocolate, so.
So what's it like owning a cookie shop?
Do you get tired of cookies? That's what I always wanted to know. If you own a cookie shop, do you get tired of them?
You kind of just become numb to it.
Okay.
You bake them and you don't even smell them anymore. There's just another scent in the air that you don't. They always say don't work at your favorite restaurant because you're going to get tired of it really fast. So I think the same thing is what happened here as well. I kind of just smell the dough. People walk in all the time and they're like, man, it smells so good in here. And I'm like, well, I wish I could smell it for the first time too again. So it's been pretty good. It's been pretty rewarding. I love talking to people. Everybody has a story.
I was gonna say, do you get a lot of people coming in saying, "Oh, when I was a kid, I used to come here," or that kind of thing? Do you get those stories much?
Daily.
Yeah. I bet you do. Yeah. What was the year that it opened?
It opened August of 1975.
75. August 75. So I have my own, of course, personal story. The same floors in there, is it not?
Not anymore after the remodel. I know.
Got my floor. All right, we can't talk anymore. But that was the thing that up until that, the smell, of course, that everybody, it's such an iconic smell. I know that sounds crazy, but to me, there's nothing like it. It literally reminds me of being 8 years old. It's the same smell every time you walk past. And I would just stop and to bring my daughter in, always get the same stuff that I would get when I was that age with her. And so, yeah, it's such a crazy memory that every time I go in the mall, everything else can change, but that has always stayed the same. It's so cool. I love that you've got the place now.
Yeah, it's definitely very memorable when you have generations of family that come in together. Yeah, and they're like, I used to come here when I was a kid, and I brought your mom or your dad, and now you're coming here, and it's good to see our the loyal fan base come back time and time again. Yeah, it's definitely a staple for them.
Do you have the double decker with the cream filled stuff?
We do.
Yep.
See, that's my favorite.
Those are the peekaboo cookies, right?
We have the peekaboos and then the ones that the cream filled.
Do you do the cookie cake still? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was my jam. Yeah. Cookie cake.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So I like icing. I'm a fan of the fluffy, not good for you junk in the middle because that's what makes it good.
Yeah, we have. I'd say that's probably one of the most popular decorated ones is the cream filleds.
By far.
Oh yeah. We usually have to make 3 or 4 trays of them for a Saturday.
Do you have anything new coming up this year? Any new cookies that you're excited
So
about?
we are actually, we talked about, so this year actually marks our 50th year anniversary in Winston-Salem at Haynes Mall. And we've actually wanted to do flavors throughout the decades
cool.
since we've opened. So flavors from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s, and so forth. And I think that's something that we're definitely interested in bringing back this year.
I think that's
and
cool.
if it works out, just keep them as regular cookies.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Love that.
I know you won't do this, and I'm thankful that you won't do this, but I was watching a nostalgia video the other day, or actually today, this morning before anybody got here, and it was them putting everything in aspic because that was a big thing in the 70s. I'm like, don't do that.
No.
I'm not even sure what that is.
So it's basically unflavored gelatin, like Jell-O, but you put things in it and then you let it sit.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
No.
no, it's gross.
That just sounds like a bad time.
Yeah, but you were talking about through the time, you know.
Yeah.
I'm like 70s, that was huge. So yeah.
Well, we definitely have that help from one of my staff members who's actually been there about just as long as I have, who's helping us out with that. You know, just because she's also a baker and she loves doing these kind of things. So we brought her on board, and I think she has a lot of great ideas. So hopefully here in the next couple of weeks we can go ahead and put that all in motion.
That's exciting. I love that idea.
Yeah, like I said, there's a lot of creativity. There's a lot of stuff that we can do with it, and I think just the biggest thing for us is appealing to everybody, the common people. People who can walk in there and with their kids after school. So I think that's the best part of it for us.
How do you like being in the mall?
It has its challenges. It has its challenges for sure, but I think it's a good location. It's a good spot. People know us to be in the mall in the exact same spot for 50 years.
Yeah, if you talk to anyone, you'll know their age if they say it's in the old section of the mall or the new section of the mall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's not even a section, it's just new mall, old mall.
Old mall,
Yeah.
new mall. That's what I say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. It's definitely a contrasting difference between like where the side where we're at versus the side where the food court's at.
Yeah.
But overall it's not bad. We're looking at growing outside of the mall and potentially go into different aspects of like the food truck, the cookie truck.
That'd be
I
cool.
think that's an area that we want to get into. Have a couple different locations. So
That's exciting.
Very cool. Yeah. Bring nostalgia out into the
There you go.
community.
In the smell.
I would be your first customer.
yeah, one of the biggest things is I don't know about you guys, but I don't see like the ice cream trucks driving through neighborhoods anymore.
We actually have one that goes through our neighborhood.
Oh, yeah?
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't seen one of those in a while.
Yeah, it's pretty rare.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, they live like we see their thing parked or truck parked all the time, and they just I guess go around to our area. But yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's something that I hope to do. Put a loud, megaphone on the top of the truck and just drive to different
Yeah, we love hearing
neighborhoods.
the music.
I
It's
think
fun.
that'll be really.
You got to
really
make
fun.
sure that the music is all warbly, though. It can't be straight. He said,
If you want real nostalgia.
Yeah, I know. So I'm from New York, and I think that's like one of the biggest things for me growing up was hearing the ice cream truck come through it, and moving down here. Like it was there, but it wasn't as big.
Yeah.
So I think I would like to bring
Cookie
that.
truck would be awesome.
That would
Yeah.
be great.
Yeah.
I think it'll be interesting.
Where
For
are you
sure.
from, Amber?
I'm from Moxville, so right here.
Yeah. So how long have you guys been in Winston?
I think I've been in Winston since 2018. Yeah.
What about
20. When did I move in with you? Because that was when I moved from Moxville.
2022.
2022. Yeah.
So what do you love about here in Winston?
I like the diversity. The amount of people that have just come to Winston, open businesses. Like going to your the Remedy.
Yeah.
And it was the first time I had stopped in there, and I was like, this is a really cool little spot.
Thanks,
I
man.
drive by it all the time. So all the businesses that are in the area
Yeah.
that you wouldn't think that we have. I think it's the biggest thing for me that I like, just the diversity in the business around the area.
There's a lot of cool businesses in
Yeah.
Winston.
Especially in the West End district, where we actually partner with Howlin' at the Moon. So we go see her every now and then, stop by, say hello.
Sierra.
Yeah, she's actually she was really nice to work with.
What about you, Amber? What do you love about Winston?
I like that things are open after 6 and on Sundays. That was the hardest part about growing up in like Davie County, Moxville, is you get off work and nothing is open.
Has that area changed? I haven't been there in a while. Has it grown much lately, or is it still the same?
It's about the same. Yeah, downtown Moxville is getting a little bit busier. They've got a few businesses that have opened up down there. But all in all, it's Moxville.
That's definitely different than Winston.
Yes.
Where in New York are you from?
I'm from Queens.
All right. Yeah. My mother's from upstate New York, so I was just
Yeah,
curious.
I've been to upstate a couple times. It reminds me a lot of North Carolina.
Yeah.
I don't think I could go back to live in New York.
I could appreciate that. I lived in the city for a year. That was it. And it was an incredible experience. I love the city, but living there full time, it's work just living there.
It is.
You know?
It's very draining.
Yeah. It's it's an effort. It's
It is.
it's amazing, but it's work.
I've only been to New York once, and I loved everything about it except trying to leave. We had our flight was canceled 4 days in a row, and we were stuck there. It cost us an extra $2,400.
Wow.
And I love everything about it except trying to get out of
That
it.
would be enough to make me not want to go back.
Probably.
Yeah.
So we go up there, I think, like twice a year.
Twice.
We have family up there. Well, I have family up there.
Yeah.
While she was pregnant, we actually debated just taking the food, like a field trip up there just to hit all the food spots that she wants and just drive back down.
I had a lot of New York specific cravings.
Well, it is foodie paradise. That's
It
for
is.
sure.
It
Yeah,
is.
there is that.
My cousin lives up there, and he told me, there was an article that said you can eat a new restaurant every single day for the rest of your life in New York, and you can never visit the same place twice.
It's true.
That's
And
amazing.
it's pretty intense,
Yeah.
So I
It's
don't know.
just a little small town, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Only 11 million people there.
Right.
yeah. It's kind of insane when you think about it. The difference coming from New York, coming down here for the first time. I was like, it's really quiet.
Yeah.
Why is it so quiet? Now I
The
go.
quiet freaks you out a little bit. in
It
the
did at
beginning, right?
first,
Yeah.
and then I go up to New York, and I'm like, man, it's so loud now.
It's loud up there, right?
That's too loud.
What brought you here?
My family.
Yeah.
My family actually moved down here because of a job opportunity back in 2007,
Hmm.
and we've been here ever since. The first place we got here was Thomasville.
Yeah.
Thomasville back in 2007 really didn't have a whole lot.
Furniture.
Yeah.
They have
Yeah.
they have furniture.
And
Thing like-
buses.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Right.
yeah. So I mean, that was it was a reality shock,
Yeah.
But I think at that point I was like 10 or 11 years old.
Yeah.
And, growing up here, after Thomasville, we moved to High Point, and then that's when I moved to Winston. So, it was okay. I like to visit areas like Charlotte every now and then to remind myself of like big city.
Yeah.
But I don't think I could commit to living there.
Yeah, the traffic there is terrible.
Once
It
you
is.
start to get, more used to this, and I've probably talked about this half a dozen times now, but I lived in LA for a very long time, and you do this and you go to that, and you just think, why are you adding a headache to your day? I mean, why am I doing this? And you get back here and you're just like, there's 47 ways to get anywhere, and if one way is blocked, you go another way, and that. So anyway, I sound like an old man saying that, but it's true. Traffic, it's enough to make you not want to live in a
I
place.
feel like we have that conversation every time we go up there is the traffic conversation.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. People really don't.
That makes me feel better that you guys
Yeah.
said it too. Thank you.
Yeah, I think driving in any congested city is like its own Olympic sport.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you have to keep your head on a swivel at all times.
You
I
do.
Can't tell you the amount of times people will just cut you off and like millimeters away from hitting you.
Yeah, and they don't really care in New York if they cut you off.
No, and they'll somehow make it your fault. So I'll take living here over New York any day of the week.
I have never heard so many different car horns than the 7 days we ended up spending in New York.
Have you been to Miami?
Yes.
Because I feel like the horns there are almost as bad because it's all New Yorkers that have gone down to Miami.
Well, Miami, at least in New York, most of them were using turn signals. In Miami, nobody was.
Oh, yeah.
It was, I'm over. Deal with it. I guess I'll deal with it.
Well, it's gotten better in New York. They put those traffic congestion laws now, and they have sound limits. So you can't honk your horn or you get fined. So,
Wow.
yeah.
How do they monitor that, though?
They have a lot of cameras.
Okay.
They have a lot of cameras. They have a lot of police, and enforcing
The
that.
triangulation software that will be able to find where it was.
And then there's something that they just instituted, I guess, like there's a daily toll driving in and out. Whoa.
The anti-congestion
Wow.
bill.
Yeah. It's like
Whoa.
what's it, like $13 a day or something.
It's a lot.
It's bananas. Yeah.
Now you
It
think
makes
about.
it impossible if you live in one of the boroughs to go to work.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. I can only imagine. I mean,
Train.
do that
Yeah,
now.
oh, yeah, you'd have to,
Yeah.
your only
Right.
option would be the train, and that can take. I mean, my best friend lives up there, and it takes him like an hour and a half to get to work every day.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's got to do the
And then you have
bus
to go-
to the train.
Plus, then you have to go on the way home, too.
Yep.
So that's like 3 hours a day.
Yeah, he spends all day trying to get to work, and then at work, and then I mean, by the time he gets home, it's bedtime.
At least it gives you time to be productive, right? Multitask.
I hope so.
Nap.
A lot of remote work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how was living in LA?
I appreciate you asking. Mostly great.
Yeah.
I was obviously there for work, and I loved what I did, met a lot of really cool people. You never meet anybody from LA when you go to LA. The people that are there are very transient. So I mean, it's like a unicorn to meet somebody who's like, yeah, I grew up here. Get out of here. No way. Everybody I meet's from Wisconsin or Nebraska or whatever, and from all over the country. So in that, it's really cool too because you meet a big microcosm of people. And LA itself is a very cool place. But I also think that it's the kind of spot that you want to go to experience, but long haul there it's challenged in the same ways that New York is. I mean, traffic's crazy, cost of living's nuts. The weather is beautiful, but it doesn't ever change. So, I mean, if you like the same thing all the time, then that's great. But I like seasons. So, you don't realize that you mark time by the seasons. You don't realize you do that until you move to a place where it never changes. And you're going, wait a minute, it's October, and it feels like, it's July, right? So, yeah. But anyway, all in all, it was a really cool experience.
So which one was more challenging to live in, New York or LA?
New York is harder to live in. People will argue that it's more convenient because it's very walkable and the train system and that kind of thing, and I don't disagree with that. But maybe I would say it this way. If you enjoy having a car, if you like to drive, LA, without question. If you prefer not to drive, then New York is a dream that way because the train system is so convenient. But to what we were saying earlier, I mean, I think the mentality, the mindset is different. Depends on what you like, but New Yorkers are very, there's a bit of an edge to New Yorkers in general, the way that they carry themselves, the way they function. And, LAans are like almost the opposite. It's just, just like everybody's super chill, like almost maybe to a fault. So in that respect, I'd say, LA's a little easier, but if you don't like to drive, then New York.
I hate driving, so I'll take New York.
There you go. See? Yeah, and I love to drive, so.
It kills me to drive the 14 minutes round trip.
I don't know.
From my house to here.
I don't mind the driving. I just don't like driving with other people on the road.
That's pretty much how I am right now.
Like, I like the actual driving, but
that's
everyone
kind of hard
else
to
makes
find
it
what you're
stressful.
looking for.
That's Knoxville.
Yeah, you gotta be Knoxville for that one.
Yeah.
You gotta watch out for the cows.
Oh,
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah.
With the deer.
And the Amish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no. So I've always wanted to go to California. I have family out there.
Yeah.
I've just never had an opportunity to go. But my idea of California, LA, San Francisco, all that, I think of like surfer boys. I don't know.
It's about every type of person you can think of, but hipster is very big.
Yeah.
Yes, it's very, very, very hipster, and it's LA way, not its New York way.
Yeah.
So I would say that.
That's a good point. They are different.
Yeah.
Those
Oh yeah.
stereotypes.
Very, very different.
I think one place that I would like to go to still is like Colorado.
Yeah.
That's
okay.
definitely
Beautiful state.
Have you been?
Yeah. In fact, I was just working there in Telluride, which was like amazing. Telluride is. Have you been to Blowing Rock by chance? Have you gone to Blowing Rock?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah. So it's like that kind of size, meaning really tiny and beautiful, but incredible, like mountains all the way around, ski slopes and hiking trails and whatnot, trams. It's this tiny little place, but it's unbelievable.
And a big film festival, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. But it's kind of interesting to me. Denver is not Denver, Colorado. I expected it to be maybe like the whole place mountainous, and I didn't realize how flat a lot of it is. And then it just climbs when you hit the Rockies, and it's just super mountainous and a lot to navigate that way. But it's cool, very cool. Yeah.
Yeah, we were gonna go this past summer, but obviously I was pregnant, so going out to Colorado was not on the list of things to do. But my cousin lives in Fort Collins.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She graduated from Western and packed up and went straight out there.
Very cool.
And she never turned back.
No, she's not coming back.
How is parenthood treating you guys?
It's been really good. Adjustment for sure. Lack of sleep has been.
Your daughter's going to love that you own a cookie shop one day soon, though.
We have talked about that a lot, about she's just going to grow up and, understand retail, but also she's either going to love or hate cookies.
Hopefully love.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. She may get tired of her, birthday cakes being made out of cookies.
Yeah.
What's her name?
Aria.
Aria.
That's pretty neat.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. You want to tell them where you got it from?
Oh, Phantom, the part when La Carlotta gets kicked off the stage, and they say from the beginning of the aria. I just love that word. It stuck with me. I was like 10, so yeah.
That's a pretty name, though.
I was like, okay, I'm going to turn that into a name. And then Game of Thrones came out, and I was like, I love this character too, so
There you go.
It just made sense.
yeah.
I had no say.
You really didn't.
Yeah. She was like, you're going to have to come up with something really good to be Arya. And I was like, well,
Yeah.
just, you know, I just won't even try.
It's not a hill you want to die on. You just
Yeah,
that's
no,
fine.
I'm like,
It's
it's fine. It works.
Did you help with the middle name, maybe? Did you
No.
No.
She had that picked out too. I mean, it flowed. It's Aria Marie.
I mean,
That's
you got to pick the last name.
So no, it was okay. I was throwing names out there, and I don't know why the name Brinley came to my mind. And she was like,
You're going to have to beat, that doesn't beat Aria. Nothing beats Aria.
Well, if you have a second girl, maybe one day.
Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
You can have input. I don't have another name.
Yeah, no, I mean, parenthood it's been really rewarding, you know.
I'm impressed that you're here.
I know.
I mean, 5-week-old in the house.
I know, when you told me you wanted to come in,
You're
I was like,
bright-eyed and, you know, communicating excellently. That's not a lack of sleep. It's impressive.
Lots of coffee.
Yeah.
My aunt has been really helpful too because she has a really flexible job. So she'll come over and she loves to hold babies. So
Nice.
it lets us sleep during the day.
Oh, that's good.
Sleep deprivation is also like second nature to me.
He was in the military.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah, well, that makes sense.
Yeah, so it's not uncommon for me. I just kind of power through it.
What branch of the military were you in?
The Marine Corps.
Number 5.
There's got to be a storyline in there from Marine Corps to cookie
Cookies.
shop and everything in between. Like, I don't know. There's a short story in there somewhere, I think.
I can condense it really fast.
Oh, yeah?
I mean, I was working 2 jobs in the mall at 18, 19 years old, you know, just kind of feeling like I was stuck. You know, after a while, I decided to quit all of my jobs. I did go to Forsyth Tech. I got my degree in electrical engineering. Did that for a little bit. Wasn't something I wanted to do, so I quit everything that I was doing, and I joined the military. Did 6 years, came back out, and, you know, I went back to work retail until I found something a little bit more stable. Owners came up to me and they're like, hey, you know, do you want to buy the store? And I was like, can't afford this. And they're like, no, it'll be a good price. And I was like, I don't even know how this works. You know, I've never bought anything, you know, this gigantic in my life. You know, me, 22, 23 years old, I was like, this is a big purchase. This is an intense commitment. But, you know, they were really good people. They wanted to retire. So they did it. You know, we signed an NDA. We went over the numbers, and, you know, come 1/1 of 2018, I took over the business, and we've been here since.
So, they weren't the original owners, were they?
They were not the original owners.
Yeah.
The original owners back in '75 when we opened was Ralph Cornwell.
Okay.
Yeah, he was the original owner of the cookie house.
And had it until...
I don't know the timeline exactly, just because I'd never discussed that, or I don't know if the owners that I bought it from remembered. But the owners that I bought them from were the Kellys,
Okay.
Curtis and Joan Kelly. I still see them every now and then. They're really nice people.
Nice.
Yeah, they're enjoying retirement.
I bet.
So I envy them.
Already.
Yeah, I'm only 30.
And you had it since 18, is that right?
Since 2018.
Yeah.
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 So pretty much since I was 22, 23.
Yeah.
Because I was 21 when I came and worked for you.
Yeah, she worked for me for a little bit,
That's how we met.
Oh,
and then I forgot she worked for me. And one of the first dates that we actually had, I was telling a friend of mine, I'm like, hey, I'm going out with this girl. You know, do you mind covering me for the store? He was like, yeah. He was like, who are you going out with? And I was like, oh, this is her. You know, her name's Amber. He looked at me and he was like, you know, she worked for you, right? And I was like, oh, man. I went back to my regular
Violation.
But, yeah, no, I mean, we've been together ever since then. She's been helping me a lot with the business. So, I mean, I couldn't be more thankful for her to be as involved as she is.
what all do you do with the business?
So I'm more of like the numbers person. I'm very type A, and he's very much not type A. Which for the creative side and everything, that's super his strong suit. I do a little bit more on the numbers, making sure that things get paid on time, managing kind of the relationship with the mall, that kind of stuff.
She handles the business-to-business aspect as well. So a lot of the collaborations that we do with other businesses in Winston-Salem, she handles that as well. We actually, it was the address you gave us to come here. And we're like, why does it sound so familiar? And we were actually here before through Greater Winston-Salem.
Okay.
We were on the 10th floor. And I was like, oh, that's why it sounds familiar.
Yeah.
We've been here before. So,
This seems to be a theme. With
yeah.
You. Yeah.
Yeah, partnering with Greater Winston-Salem has been a really good thing for us, and you know she has actually been in charge of the entire thing, handling that. And now with parenthood, it's definitely she takes on a responsibility that would otherwise be a lot for me to handle. And raising our daughter, which is pretty impressive at that. So
it's a cool story, guys.
Yeah.
So did you say you were at Launch Tower on the 10th floor?
I think that's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a really cool space. It was Launch Tower. With they do business consulting and they have the workspaces up there. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, they were doing a meet and greet up there for Greater Winston-Salem members. So.
Okay.
Yeah, we keep talking about going to another one, but we got to figure out how to do that with a 5-week-old.
Take the 5-week-old.
That's the plan. I just need her to remain calm while we're there.
Yeah. I produce I call it G Wizzy, Greater Winston-Salem League. I produce their podcast as
Okay.
well. So
Cool.
with Deetra. Yeah.
So how did you guys start? I guess with got into the podcast series.
So I write, and I was just talking with someone, and they're like, your interviews could be like a podcast, basically, and that's what gave me the idea. And then Tim produces podcasts, and so I got connected to him, and I thought Burgess would be an awesome co-host, so I talked to him, and here we are.
Nice. And I think right now, podcast is such a strong platform to be able to connect and interact
Tim
with
can-
people, and on certain certain levels that you couldn't normally do through like social media.
Yeah.
Hear everybody's side of the story. So
Yeah, it's a cool in between, isn't it?
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have produced over 4,800 podcast episodes.
That's awesome.
I feel like you need a plaque somewhere in here for that.
Right.
Oh, well, I should, yeah. I'm the Podfather. That's what they call me.
The Podfather.
Yeah.
Hey, you're
that's
the
a t-shirt right
First
there.
podcast here in Winston.
Yeah, the oldest continuously running pop culture podcast is mine. It's The Less Desirables. And it started on February the 3rd. So this past Monday was our 15th anniversary.
Wow.
Very cool.
That's awesome.
So
I feel like we should put that on a cake and bring it to you guys.
I will not turn it down.
Yeah, it's funny. Once people find out what I do for a living, their main question is, "Do you even bring us any cookies?" And I'm like, "Oh, sorry, I left all my stuff in the store." I feel like
My grandma was actually starting to get mad at you for not bringing her cookies.
I feel like I should walk around with like a warming backpack full of cookies, like just hand them out everywhere I go.
We used to go buy the dough.
The dough.
The dough. So I can't say this is like family lore for us, so maybe just our own personal mythology on this. But so my mother, this is and she claims this too, which I actually think there are two things that she claims, and I think she might actually should be credited for them. So one of them is buying dough from the cookie house, right? So I would go over there. She'd drop me off at the mall. She's like, go in and get whatever you want and grab me a few of the dough. Mm-hmm. And so we would go in, we would ask for it, and they would go, I don't know if we can do that, whatever. And then somebody would always say, sure, and sell some dough. Well, then it became a thing after a while. They put it on the board. If you want to just buy the dough, you could. It didn't last that long because I think maybe needing to cook it or whatever and that kind of stuff. And so, right? So, but for the longest time, we would just go buy the dough and ended up there. Well, so this is a little inside funny story. It's the middle of the night. It's like 11 o'clock. I'm a kid, and Mom is dying for a donut at Krispy Kreme, right? And she said, every once in a while around this hour, this is when they get done making them, and they're hot. And so we go over and we get a hot donut. Sure enough, they're hot, and she's all excited and they're hot, so she gets a dozen. And we would do this regularly. And at one point, there's some executive that's in there, and she's like, you know what you should do? You should put a sign in here that says the donuts are hot now. Kid you not, 6 months later, there was a sign up that said hot donuts now. Now, was that my mother? I don't know. But she likes to take credit for it in her own fun little way. My mom is the nicest person you'll ever meet. She's like, I'm telling you, hot donuts now was my idea. And I'm like, you know what? I think it might be.
And the headquarters was here at the time.
Well,
It was.
it sure was.
It makes sense. Yeah.
And then Krispy Kreme was right there. The executive was there. And I'm like, I think hot donuts now for the country might be Linda Jenkins. So there you go. You're welcome, Mom. So yeah, isn't that crazy?
That's a really interesting, it's a cool story.
fun
Yes.
little lore, right? Who knows? I mean, yeah, you never know. But interesting ideas come from all over the place. So yeah,
See, this is why I love talking to people.
hot cookies now. Sign up in the.
We've actually been talking about doing that just because we have them hot all day. But a lot of people come in and they don't know that. So
Food truck. I mean, when you got your cookie truck going around, you know,
No.
you get hot cookies and you keep them warm. I don't know. Yeah, who knows?
yeah, we've-
Yeah, we're brainstorming.
You never know. Interesting thoughts, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true because most places they're not hot. So if most people don't think it. So yeah, if you could put it up there, good selling point.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think
We've
that
looked at it. It's just those neon signs are expensive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize how much they were when I started looking into it.
You know what? Go on Amazon.
Yeah.
They can
Really?
make you lit up signs for a lot cheaper than neon.
And also Etsy.
And
Yeah.
Etsy too.
Go to Etsy, and
Okay.
you can send them their like your own designs of things you want, and people that will custom make them. Some of them are overseas, and the cost of manufacturing in some of these countries is so much lower and really impressive, like handmade stuff. You know, so I've ended up with some really neat stuff that was handmade. You're also supporting some tiny business somewhere, which is really cool too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah, I wanted
I'll
to
check those
order.
out.
There was one time I wanted to get her, but she's a big Harry Potter fan. She loves to read, and there was a small business on Etsy, and she does she leather bounds all the Harry Potter books with the
Cool.
Horcruxes on them. And
super cool.
But she was backed up.
I didn't
by
know about that.
Yeah, she was backed up several months, and I was like, man,
Yeah.
maybe another time. But yeah, you're right. Etsy does have a lot of cool things that I didn't even think about doing
Checking them
Etsy.
out
Yeah,
either.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, something we have to look into.
We should look into those Horcruxes too.
Horcrux cookies. There you go.
Yeah.
Harry Potter
Yeah.
cookies.
Yeah, I think stuff like that's kind of trademarked.
There's ways around it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what kind of stuff did you write about?
So I write for a few different places. Winston-Salem magazine. So obviously anything people, places in Winston, and then Forsyth Family and Forsyth Woman magazine, and most of it's local type writing. You know, about locals.
Did you always is this something that you wanted to do for a while?
I started writing in 2013, but I also do marketing, which is what I did prior to that, because my background's in communications.
Okay.
So.
Nice.
And she's awesome.
Yeah.
She's my marketing person. So
Yeah,
Yeah. It's crazy how it all happens, how everything falls into place.
that's
You
true.
go in for
yeah.
one thing, you come out.
You know,
something
I
else.
originally wanted to be a lawyer, so
Interesting.
when I was a kid, I always wanted to be a lawyer.
Really?
And then I went to school, and I loved communications, and
I didn't know that.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
I see.
wanna
I
go
had
on-
like your briefcase going to school.
No, I just always was. I liked how lawyers, at least some lawyers, help people get justice. And then I took environmental science, and I wanted to be an environmental lawyer. And then I went to school and changed my mind. My senior year, I changed my mind of college.
You wanted to be a lawyer?
It did. I was learning about like Innocence Project and stuff. It made me want to do that. But then I realized that I really hate school. Really hated school.
I love school, but
were you always going to be an actor, Burgess?
Yeah, pretty much. I always loved the idea of storytelling, but I did a lot of theater growing up, and I didn't love theater. I appreciated the medium. I thought it was a really cool medium in a lot of ways, but it just wasn't for me. I couldn't figure out why I liked TV and film so much, and why theater didn't really appeal to me. I kind of assumed at a young age they were similar. And then when I started studying and moved to LA to study, I realized the huge difference between the two is that, you know, when you're on stage, you have an obligation to an audience. You have to tell this story to the people, and you incorporate them in what you're doing.
And it's live.
Well, I'm on live. Live's cool. You know, that's great in both ways. But when you're in front of a camera, there's no audience. They're actually like a voyeur looking through a keyhole, you know, so it's much more about the experience that you're having. So if you and I are on a stage and, you know, you kind of look at me quizzically for a moment, and our scene kind of deviates a little bit, the audience doesn't really get that most of the time. And that's fine. It's just whatever. But in front of the camera, every take can be all these little nuanced different things. And I loved that. And my background is in psychology. So the human condition and not knowing what's going to happen and seeing all these little things happen between you and your scene partners and the experiences of it all. Oscar Wilde has this quote. He says, I love acting. It's so much more real than life. And everybody sort of takes it as a bit of a joke. But if you think about it, and if you have been an actor for a while, there's a lot of truth to it, because in life and out in the world, you got to carry yourself with some reasonable decorum, or otherwise the world would be mayhem. But as an actor, you can basically prepare whatever you want behind what you're saying. So whether you're falling in love with somebody, you can't stand somebody, whatever you want to exact some, revenge or whatever is going on in your thought process, you can relay that through the vehicle that is the words that somebody else wrote. So that just hooked me, and I love that about it. So it's a long way to go with your question, but yeah, I love the idea of being an actor. So,
What about you? What did you want to do as a kid?
I was going to be a rock star. And I tried my dangest, and just didn't. So, but if I wasn't going to be a rock star, I wanted to be a DJ on real radio, DJ. And for whatever reason, I couldn't get my nerve up to do it, which is odd now, because I said, well, if I can't do that, how about recording radio shows, and people can listen when they want to. They don't have to be live. And here we are. And now I own a radio station, so I get to be a DJ anytime that I want to. But I don't so much. I have other people that do that for me. But I do once a week. I have a show on Sunday nights. But it was either a rock star or a DJ, and now this is actually my dream job now. And I love every single minute of it.
It's a cool evolution.
Yeah.
It is, yeah. So.
I've always been amazed, you're never on the path that you want it to be, but somehow you end up where you need to be.
There's a lot of truth to that.
Yeah. Really. I never thought I was going to own a cookie house. I never really envisioned myself in baking or cooking. I've always thought I was going to be doing something else. I actually wanted to go to the Greensboro School of Arts, and I wanted to major in video editing and graphic design, because I wanted to go to California, and I wanted to be a film director. And it just so happens that it didn't align the way that I needed to. But it worked out, I have a business now, wife and a kid, and who knows how that other path may have taken me. It does make you think sometimes, but everything happens for a reason. That's what they say.
The what ifs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've always loved being behind the camera, because film is very perspective. It's very much up to interpretation to whoever how you want to shoot things. I'm sure you're aware of this being an actor.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
I always thought it was really interesting, and it's very meticulous.
Yes, especially the directorial side of
Mm-hmm.
it. Yeah. What made you want to be a director?
I love watching movies.
Mm-hmm.
Growing up, I watched all kinds of movies, which is real funny because now if you ask me, like, hey, have you seen this? I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
I don't have time.
No time. I'm the same way. I'm an actor, but I mean, most of the shows that are popular at the time, people are like, oh my gosh, I guess you've seen it, right?
Yeah.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, I find myself watching a lot of reruns of like old movies that I've watched.
Already seen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just-
Because they're good, right?
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
you're going to be entertained. You're going to waste 2 hours watching something like, oh, this stinks. Remind me not to take their advice on watching movies anymore.
Yeah. No.
Well, and I don't watch enough of anything to know, because, like, have you heard about this movie? And I'm like, what? I don't even know anything that's out currently.
There's so much content. I think that's part of it for me. Is like I
There's
just
a lot.
get sensory overload. It's I got the scrolling thing. It's like, well, what are you gonna watch? And 45 minutes later, I'm still scrolling through stuff. Like I can be halfway through a movie by now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always just land on Gilmore Girls.
Oh, that's a good one.
I
My
love Gilmore
daughter
Girls.
would completely concur with you.
And my wife.
Yeah.
And me.
I love that show.
Okay, that was my labor show. We took my laptop and that's what was on the whole time.
Gosh.
I keep trying to get Harper to watch One Tree because I'm like you'll love One Tree. I'm on the show. Go watch it. She's like, no, I get to.
You just play it in the background for her.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm around all the time, so you know.
Dad, I can see you anytime I want
There's
to,
no
and then some.
Right.
So, yeah.
Do you feel like your daughter sometimes has like with her friends or like starstruck when they find out who you are?
Well, I mean, a lot of her friends kind of grew up with her / us and that kind of thing. So, you know, thankfully, there's not a lot of, you know, that, I don't know, barrier or whatever.
No.
I mean, it happens from time to time, but, you know, in the house for a little bit and they settles down. So, yeah.
Do you ever get people that come up to you and they're like, oh my God, I know you?
I've got some spooky stories about people showing up on my front doorstep.
Really?
Oh, that would make me nervous.
Yeah.
Fans of shows, you know, Young and the Restless in particular.
Yeah.
Yeah. That somehow just figured out my address and that kind of stuff, which is weird.
I wonder how they figured that out.
I don't know. I don't like it, but yeah. So I mean, nobody's ever been egregious about anything, but
Yeah.
it's a little weird.
It
when
would
you're-
still be uncomfortable just having somebody show up at your house,
Yeah,
even if
yeah.
they're super nice about it.
for any
Yeah,
reason,
that's-
right? Yeah. So, but especially with certain shows, you know, they feel like they know you, and you know, like Young and the Restless, they watch it every day. It's on, you know, 365. So, you know, they feel like that's their life too.
Yeah.
So
No,
people
I
have
can
said
see
things
that.
about my character that existed before I started playing it. Like, you know, so your family lineage, and you know, when you were doing this storyline, and when your great grandfather, I'm like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Dr. Drake Remore.
Hey, all of my college friends make that joke. They're like, hey, you're Joey Tribbiani, you're Dr. Drake Remore. You're gonna fall down an elevator shaft and die.
It's actually one of my favorite shows. Friends.
That's
Friends.
a good
Yeah.
show. Yeah.
Oh man, so good.
Yeah. Pivot.
You guys have been a pleasure. It's fun talking to you.
Well,
been awesome.
It's been awesome being here. You know, this is the first time we've been on a podcast, so
yay.
I didn't really know what to expect. You know, just like we're just gonna go up there.
great.
You know,
You did a great job. I mean,
Yeah.
just hanging out, talking.
Just lay back and talk. That's all we're doing.
So how can people find out about the Cookie House?
So we have our social media. We have our Instagram. We have Facebook.
That I will eventually get better about posting on.
You're a bit busy
we-
now.
We're actually working with somebody to give our website a bit of a facelift, make it a little bit more professional, so that way we can appeal to a bigger demographic of people. Make it a lot more easy for people to navigate and be able to, you know, connect with us, you know, order through us. You know,
I was
hopefully.
going to ask if you can order online.
Not as of right now, but we are working on the platform to be able to do that.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Would you just ship locally or everywhere once you can order? Or are you not going to do shipping?
Goal is to be able to go anywhere. We actually have some, like I said, you know, loyal fan base, and they come to us and only us. You know, that we have.
We shipped a wedding cake to Puerto Rico.
Cool.
Yeah.
So that was the groom did not want any cake from anywhere else. He wanted it from us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was he originally from here? Or? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he grew up here in Winston. He was like, I want it from the cookie house. Mom, can you bring me a cake? She was like, how am I going to get a cake all the way to Puerto Rico? She's like, we'll talk to the cookie house. We'll see what we can do. And we made it work for her and her family, and it was the first dessert that was gone.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
the groom actually only got a small slice. He was pretty bummed out. So after the wedding, his mom came back in, and he was like, they absolutely loved it. You know, can I get, you know, we're going to Boston. What can you do for me? And I was like, we got you. We'll take care of you.
Very
So,
cool. I love
you know, making those connections, talking to people, I think is one of the biggest things for us. So we're trying to be, you know, accessible in any way, shape, or form that we can be.
And hopefully
I've
we'll
even-
see the trucks around town soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is the goal by the end of the year, is to have at least one.
I've even thought about getting like QR codes for our website and just, you know, slapping them all over Winston-Salem.
There you go.
Maybe somebody will make a Reddit post like, what are all these QR codes? Yeah, everything.
Yeah, don't put anything. Just, you know, like, you know,
Or if you
some
put free
mystery
cookie.
about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Like
would
the
be the
red
way to do it
balloons,
right there.
that kind of
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, they're just sort of everywhere.
I feel like that'll catch people. What is that? Yeah. I feel like we get in trouble after a while. They'll don't know who to find.
I feel like I would be scared to just scan a random
That's
QR
true
code.
too. I think
No.
isn't that like some big no-no? Don't just hit random QR codes because you'll get scammed or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd just be scared. Like, I don't know. People are weird. I wouldn't want to scan it and then just see what would come up.
That's
Yeah.
true too.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
true. No. But no, it's definitely been a pleasure being here today with you
Thank you
guys.
guys for coming
Great talking
on.
to you guys.
Thank you.
Great.
Everybody head down to the mall, grab a cookie. Thanks for joining us on Twin City Talk. We are on Instagram and Facebook. The views and opinions portrayed by guests on this podcast are not necessarily those of the distributors and hosting companies. And if you love this podcast, that's great, but don't think about stealing it. Reach out to us and talk about the content, because it is copyrighted.